Let me ask you a bit of an uncomfortable question, because this is a question that I think about so often. And here it is. If your kids were to copy your habits, your discipline, your follow through, what kind of future are they headed toward? Not your intentions, not your lectures, but your patterns. Because whether we realize it or not, your life is the blueprint that they are going to use one day. Listen, I've seen it in my life. I see it in the lives of my clients constantly. And here's the reality. Most men don't fail to meet their goals intentionally. They don't set out to fail or drop the ball. They fail because they're trying to win alone, with no system, with no structure. And so today I'm going to give you a powerful framework that's going to do two things. Okay, you're going to use it to reflect on 2025, and you're going to use it to dominate in every arena in 2026 and actually follow through without burning out and without disappearing by February. So grab your pen, get comfortable, because you're going to want to take notes. Welcome to the Dad Nation podcast, the place where high-performing men are empowered to reclaim their home, their health, and their happiness while enhancing their career success. You see, in a world full of noise, burnout, and mediocrity, we believe what's missing is courageous and compassionate leadership in the home, because when the dad gets better, the whole family wins. You see, this isn't just a podcast. It's a movement for men who refuse to settle for less in their families, in their focus, and their future. We are curse breakers and we are legacy makers. I am your host, Mitchell Osmond, and I'm honored that you've chosen to invest your most valuable asset, which is your time, with me today. Now let's get into it. Well, let me start this episode by saying Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. I hope at the time of this recording, it's January 3rd. I hope and pray that you have had time to rest, to reflect, to recharge, and spend some time with your family over the holidays. I know I have, and it has been wonderful. And I pray this year you will experience more love, more peace, and more joy in your home and in your relationships than you could ever hope for or imagine, brother. Now, as we talk about this coming year, I want to talk about goals, right? Because whether we realize it or not, we all have goals. Maybe you call them hopes. Maybe you call your goals dreams. Or maybe you kind of think like me and you think of your goals as plans. But however you look at it, we all have desires for what we want from our lives this year. Maybe it's a promotion. Maybe it's a certain amount of weight you want to lose, buying that second property, to grow in your spiritual life, to be more present with those you love. You know, I made some pretty audacious goals last year. Many of them I met, and some of them I didn't, and that's okay. This year, I'm making some pretty ridiculous goals as well. Here are some of them, for example. I'm going to be in peak physical shape when my second son is born in May. I'm talking single-digit body fat, all right? 9% body fat is what I'm shooting for. I'm going to do a half marathon Spartan race in August. My podcast will go from the top 5% globally to the top 1% globally. Another one that I've been thinking about is that I'm going to spend one day a week with my family this year. Full Sabbath mode, no distractions, no phones, nothing invading our space. Now, I want you to notice my language. Notice I didn't say I hope to be in peak shape. I hope to do the half marathon. I wish my podcast gets to the top 1%. No, I used certainty-based language. That's so important, okay? More on this later. But here's the thing. We could talk about our goals all day, but that's not really the point, because talking isn't really going to do anything. Because if we accomplished everything we talked about, we'd all be running around with six-packs and incredible marriages and multimillionaires by now, right? So there's got to be something else. What are the things that make us fall off the wagon every year? And what is the thing that's going to help us keep our goals in front of us and accomplish all the things that we wanted to do this year? So I want to start off this episode with some wild statistics about goals that will make you think, all right? 80% of New Year's resolutions fail by February, 30 days in. Less than 10% of people in the world actually achieve their goals. And only 1% of people write down their goals consistently. All you got to do is write down your goal and you're in the top 1%. That's incredible. But here's the thing. The question isn't why don't people succeed? The real question is, why do we continue to fail to follow through and to meet our goals every single year despite wanting to change so badly? And you know what I think? I'm going to tell you what I think. You got no choice because you can't stop me. Well, I guess you could pause me, but you're here for a reason. I think it's not a lack of motivation. All right. It's not a lack of intelligence. It's not even a lack of discipline. I think most people fail, most men fail because they set vague goals. They rely on their willpower instead of their systems. They try and white knuckle the change all alone. They have no environment that reinforces their growth. And worst of all, they've kind of normalized starting over. Is that the case for you? I know that was the case for me for many, many years. Oh, this is just what we do. We set a resolution and we don't keep it. And we joke about it, right? But let me make this crystal clear for you. Here's why this is so important, especially if you're listening to this and you were a husband and you're a father, or if you're a wife and a mother. I know some of y'all are listening to the show as well. Your kids don't learn discipline from your lectures. They learn it from watching you follow through. Your wife doesn't need more empty promises. She needs the same, to see you follow through. She is craving predictable leadership. So when you set goals and quietly fail to meet them year over year over year, you are teaching inconsistency. You are teaching self-doubt. You are teaching comfort over courage, not just to yourself, but to those around you. But when you commit, when you execute, when you finish strong, you teach integrity. You teach confidence. You teach ownership. You teach stability. And that, my friend, is leadership. And I think we all know this in theory. This is not news. This is not new news to anyone, right? But in our nature, we hesitate to share our goals with others. Why is that? Like, for example, I debated telling you some of these goals in the beginning of the episode. In fact, I almost didn't say them. Why is that? It's because that would make me accountable to you. That would mean I just told thousands of men across the world about some of the things that I want to accomplish. That's scary. Because what happens if I don't follow through? But that's accountability. And that is uncomfortable. We don't like discomfort. So what do we do instead? We make silent goals. We don't tell anyone. Right? Because, hey, if no one finds out, it's not a big deal. We try and do it alone. Like millions of secret agents on their own missions, hoping that they complete them. But here's the reality. High performers, men of greatness, don't succeed alone in any area. I don't care who you are. There is no such thing as being a self-made man. Every athlete, every executive, every leader has coaches. They have teammates. They have accountability structures. They have clear frameworks. And yet most husbands and fathers expect themselves to magically change with no plan, with no support, with no one calling them higher. Okay, that's not strength. That's isolation disguised as independence. So I'm gonna teach you a framework that's gonna help you take it all to the next level. All right? So lean in with me. It's an acronym, and the acronym is for the word dominate. There's 8 steps, okay? But before we go any further, I need to redefine this word for you, because when most people hear the word dominate, they think aggression. They think ego. They think control. They think winning at the expense of others, but that's not what I'm talking about, okay? The word dominate comes from the Latin word dominus, which means the master of the house, not a tyrant, not a dictator, not a bully, but a steward, a leader, one who takes responsibility. So to dominate your life doesn't mean overpowering people around you. It means governing yourself well. It means that your emotions don't run you. It means that your calendar doesn't control you, that your marriage isn't on autopilot, that your health isn't left to chance. It means that your kids see consistency, not chaos. You see, real domination is actually self-mastery. And that's why this framework matters so much going into 2026. Because the men who suffer the most aren't weak men. They're actually capable men, but they're living undirected lives. They have potential, but no structure. They have all the desire, but they have no systems. They have great intentions, but no execution. And hear me, brother, intentions are great, but they don't mean anything without action. I know this because I had every intention to live up to my potential, quote unquote, but I was still in debt. I was still out of shape, and I was still coming home to a miserable marriage every single day. But I had lots of intentions. You see, that gap that you live in, right, from where you currently are and who you want to be, from the career that you currently have and the career that you want, right, the marriage you desire versus the one that you wake up to, right, the gap between the state of your physical health today and the physical health you really want, the body you really want. Well, the D.O.M.I.N.A.T.E framework is how you close that gap. This is the framework that you're going to use to close out 2025 with honesty, to design 2026 with clarity, and to execute with consistency. So I want you to grab a notebook because this part matters. This is where we're going to get into the meat of it, okay? The first letter is D. No, it's not dominate. It's diagnose. And this is where leadership really starts. You're going to start with truth, okay? You're going to reflect on 2025 and diagnose. Ask yourself these questions. Where did I win this past year? Where did I lose this past year? Where did I drift? What patterns were repeated? What excuses showed up consistently in 2025? Now, don't get it twisted, brother. This isn't about shame. This isn't about self-attack. But also, don't spin things to make them better than what they were. That will not serve you well, because you will not dominate your future if you lie about your past. So, first step, diagnose. Get clear, get honest. And as I reflect, here's one thing that I diagnosed as I look back at 2025. I didn't spend as much time with my family, and my wife and my son, as I would have liked to, right? It was a huge year for me with launching, with growing, scaling the business, a bunch of different things. This is one thing that I've diagnosed that I will change for next year. Step number 2 is O. Own the gaps. You see, this is where most men quit. This is where they fall off the wagon, right? And here's why. Ownership sounds empowering, sounds noble, sounds great. I'll take ownership, right? Own your business. And it sounds great until you actually have to do it, right? Until it costs you your pride. Or it requires you to eat a slice of humble pie. But I want you to honestly ask yourself, what did I avoid this year? Where did I settle this year? What did I tolerate this year that I shouldn't have? And take ownership. Now here's the thing. Ownership isn't self-condemnation. It's self-authority. The moment you own it is the moment you get control back. Okay? You take ownership of every single area. And as I was diagnosing this past year, and as I was thinking about the one that I just gave you earlier, that I didn't spend enough time with my family, I need to own that. It wasn't my wife's fault, right? It wasn't my kid's fault. It was totally me. It was on me. I could have blamed the business. I could have blamed the clients, those clients who needed me to take the call or to jump on the phone or whatever. I could blame anything I want to, but at the end of the day, it's none of that. It's me. Make sense? Okay, let's move on to number 3, M. Okay, this stands for map the man you're becoming. Now, this isn't really about goals. This is about your identity, right? I want you to ask, what kind of husband do I want to be in 12 months from now? What kind of shape do I want to be in January? What kind of father do I want to be? What kind of man do my kids experience daily? This is where we start to wrap our identity into this. This is who I am becoming. This is what I do, right? And I want you to make it incredibly specific, right? Don't just say, I want to be a good dad. I want to be more present. I want to make more money. I want you to make it very specific. So, I want to lose 25 pounds. I want to spend only 15 minutes per day on my phone. I want to make an additional $45,000 this year. I want to spend 20 minutes a day in focused prayer. You remember some of the goals that I shared in the beginning of the episode? Top 1% podcast. I don't just want to grow my show, right? This is very, very specific. I want to be at 9% body fat. I don't want to just lose weight or get in better shape or get leaner. I want to get to 9%. Body is incredibly specific. 1 day per week as a Sabbath. I want to spend 1 day with my family per week. That's very specific. It's measurable, right? There's nothing ambiguous about these goals. Now, why? Why is that so important? Because you can't hit a target you don't see. Make it obvious, make it clear, and make it clearly measurable. And once you've mapped out your goals and they are clear and they're focused, now you're going to, which is step 4, install systems. Install systems, not motivation, and systems. Why didn't I just say get motivated? Because motivation is emotional. Systems are mechanical. And mechanics win long games. Emotions come and go. You see, feelings are fickle. And if you haven't realized this yet, after you set this goal that you're going to set, the novelty is going to fade pretty quick. When it's 5:30 a.m. and you're hitting snooze, the novelty is going to fade. Your emotions are going to fade when you're in the office and they're handing out donuts. Your own motivation is going to fade when your kid is pushing your limits. And it could be so much easier to just snap at them. You're not going to be motivated to follow through. This is why we install systems, because systems aren't emotional. So what are systems? Well, for example, if you want to get more done, you want to be more productive, establish a weekly planning rhythm. A plan, like where you're planning time to plan time. This is a little bit meta, right? But every Monday, I plan out time to plan out the following week. Because if I don't plan the time to sit down and plan the rest of the time, guess what? No time goes into planning. And I'm just bombarded by the urgent thing, and I never get to the important things, right? Because that's the thing. We become slaves to the urgent, and then we don't get to the important. That's, Eisenhower talked a lot about that, hence the term or the framework Eisenhower matrix, which I've taught you in the past. If you want to grow in your spiritual life, maybe a system might be to plan each morning, have an anchor. You're going to anchor yourself in the Word. 6 a.m., I'm going to get up, I'm going to read the Bible, or whatever it is. You're going to set a time, set a place. 6 a.m., I'm going to sit in that lounging chair in the front room. I'm going to make a coffee, and I'm going to spend some time. Right? If you want to lose weight, set a training schedule. Don't just hope that you're going to lose weight this year. Book a call, hire a trainer, and build a schedule. If you want to have a better marriage, plan a weekly check-in with your wife. Better yet, do it with a couple buddies. Hold each other accountable to your marriages together. And you know what? Side note, don't make your wife your accountability partner. Please, if you've done that, please don't. And just let her free from that. When you get off this podcast, just go to her, be like, honey, you're no longer my accountability partner. Okay? It makes things way too messy. And also, she was not designed to hold you accountable. That's not her job, right? That's where we lean into other brothers, other community. It's just going to make things way more messy in your marriage, especially when it comes to purity, especially when it comes to porn or all those different things. Please, for the love of all, do not have her be your accountability partner. I love this quote from James Clear. You probably heard me quote it many times because it's fantastic. It's from his book, Atomic Habits, which also you've heard me recommend. It is fantastic. And he says this: you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. You see, people ask me all the time how I'm so consistent or how I'm so disciplined. People say, how do you get up so early? Or you say, how do you constantly pump out episodes? And here's the thing. I want to let you in on a simple secret. I'm not that disciplined. I'm not that motivated. I just have systems. So when I fall, I don't fall off the cliff. Okay? I put in a safety net. So I might stumble and slip off the edge, but I'm going to fall about maybe 6 inches and fall into a safety net. I'm going to get back up. I'm going to get back on the horse. I have installed systems. I hope you get the point. Okay, moving on. Here's the next one. Where are we at here? D.O.M.I.N. Number 5, narrow the focus. That's N. Now this one is critical Because a lot of guys, it's not that they set goals, but sometimes they set too many. All right? They fail from overcommitment. So listen, hear me say this. Go deep, not wide. Deep, not. You ever remember that old Sunday school too? Deep and wide, there's a fountain flowing deep and wide. Go deep. All right. What I'm saying here is a man who attempted everything will accomplish nothing. Okay. Let me say that again. A man who attempts everything will accomplish nothing. So what I want you to do is I want you to pick 3 things maybe. Pick one health focus, one marriage focus, one fatherhood focus, or one career focus, or one financial focus. And I want you to ask yourself what matters the most this year. Because there's a lot of good things you could do, right? You could burn yourself, but you could kill yourself doing good things. You got to ask yourself, what's the best thing? What good things in my life do I need to eliminate to make room for the best things? Deep, not wide, always. Or maybe you want to split them into 4 focuses and spend a quarter of each year on this focus. So Q1, January, February, or January to March, it might be fitness. Q2, April to January might be your business. Q3, July, September might be your family. Q4, October to December might be your finances. I don't know. You got to know what works for you. But this ties into the importance of specificity as well, like I was talking about. You have to know what you're going for, and you have to know how many things you're going for and when you're going to go for them. Does that make sense? All right, narrow the focus. Do not overcommit, because if you overcommit to too many things, you will do nothing. Okay? Quick pause here, brother, because if your marriage feels flat, the intimacy is rare, conversations are turning tense, or deep down, you're just worried that maybe you're slowly becoming roommates, I see you. So listen in for a moment. Most marriages don't drift because guys stop caring. They just run out of energy, ideas, and clarity. And that's exactly why I created the Spark Starter Kit, which is your romance on autopilot for an entire year. It's a done-for-you system that removes all the pressure and the guessing. All right, it's 365 pre-written text messages for every situation, so you never have to stress about what to say. Just copy, paste, personalize, and watch your eyes light up. It's 52 date night blueprints, one pre-planned date for every week of the year. So all you have to do is show up and be the hero. There's 100 conversation starters that are designed to engage her and turn up the heat. So you never have to worry about the conversation getting dull or boring. And it also includes the Romance Reset, which is a 3-part mini course, which is strategically designed to take you from bored roommates to passionate soulmates. So what's the result? More intimacy, less tension. More passion, less thinking. You'll be able to meet her every need without ever having to even think about it. So if you want to get the fire back in your marriage, grab the Spark Starter Kit, okay? The link is in the show notes below. All right, now let's get back to the episode. Now here's the 6th step, which is my favorite, which I'm convinced is one of the things that helped me turn it all around. A, which stands for accountability. Accountability that actually works, right? Because transformation accelerates in proximity, okay? Transformation accelerates in proximity. When you're close to others, ask yourself these questions. Who knows my goals? Who has permission to challenge me? Who's walking the same road as me? And brother, if the answer is no one, that is not you setting yourself up for success. That is literally you setting yourself up for failure. You want to stay on track? Create accountability in your life, real accountability. Find a brother in the battle, right? Someone you can tell your goals to. Someone who's going to call you up, or call you on your BS, all right? I have an accountability group. I know these brothers are probably listening right now, all right? It's literally a group chat that I started with 2 other guys, and it's called the Building Brethren. All right, it's 2 guys that call me out when needed. It's 2 guys that are just as invested as me. These 2 guys have a proven track record of success. These 2 guys will not let me slip. And I've strategically reached out to these 2 men to walk alongside me and me walk alongside them. Okay. I've also started another network of other men who are launching businesses and growing businesses called The Forge. We meet for breakfast once a month just to hold each other accountable. It's powerful. I got accountability all over my life. So for example, On January 1st, which was 2 days ago, I started a 4-day food fast. Now, I don't know if you've ever done this before, gone, multiple days without eating food, but dang, it's hard. All right. Now, as of this recording, I'm on day 3. It's been 3 days since I ate something, man. But one of the guys in this group chat, did it with me. And we've been texting each other, holding each other accountable, cracking jokes, whatever. But we've been holding each other to this standard we've set for the last 3 days. It's powerful. We got 1 day left. Pray for me, y'all. Okay. Here's the thing. I was talking to a friend of mine a few days ago who has every intention to lose weight this year. And as we were talking, I was just asking him some questions. And he said, I want to lose some weight, quote unquote. Notice that's not specific. Well, how much weight do you want to lose? 5 pounds or 50 pounds? It's a big difference. And that drastically changes what your year looks like. He also said he didn't really know which program he was going to use or how he was going to do it. There's no system. You have to have a system. He also said that his wife was going to hold him accountable. Again, like you just heard me say, there's no good accountability there, man. Your wife is not a good accountability partner. She's not going to feel comfortable saying, hey, man, put the cheeseburger down. She's not going to feel so comfortable saying, hey, why don't you get your butt to the gym? Did you work out today? No. Don't put your wife in that kind of position, okay? The last thing I observed is that his language was filled with, I hope, and maybe, and if onlys, right? There was no certainty in his language. So in a quick 10-minute conversation, there was nothing specific, there was no system, there was no accountability, and there was no certainty. Now, I'd like to think that this is going to be the year that this man does it, right? That this is the year that looks different for him. But honestly, I won't be shocked if we have the exact same conversation next January when he's dragging around that same 50 pounds or however much weight he wants to lose. All right, you get the point. Accountability. So important. Let's move on to T, which is number 7, okay? Tap in. Okay, tap into proven mentorship. This is where high performers separate themselves. This is where the men of greatness separate themselves, not because they try harder, but it's because they stop guessing. You see, elite men don't wing it. They invest in people who speak the truth, not flattery. They invest in frameworks that work in real life. They invest in coaching that shortens the learning curve. All right, listen, we're all working hard. We're all trying our best, but there's a reason why some people accelerate so much faster. It's because they've tapped into coaching and mentorship. So here's 3 reasons why it works. Okay, number 1, they collapse time. You've heard me talk about this. Because the right coach doesn't just give information, okay? They help you see blind spots before they cost you years, right? So I've been on about 60 podcasts over the last 6 months or so. You want to know one of the most common questions, repeated questions I get asked over and over again. You know what it is? How did you transform your life in 18 months? You lost the weight, you paid off the debt, you restored your marriage, yada, yada, yada. In a year and a half. Let me tell you, brother, it was mentorship. It was having people in my corner, people showing me the path, coaches teaching me how to make the right moves so I didn't make the wrong ones, right? This helped me collapse the amount of time. So what would have maybe taken me 3, 4, 5 years, or maybe even risked not doing it at all, I got it done in 18 months. Because instead of taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back, I was taking 3 steps forward. All right, number 2 reason why you got to tap into mentorship, you got to tap into coaching, is because you borrow their confidence. All right, hang on with me here. The truth is this. Any area where you want to improve, there's a high likelihood that maybe there's some insecurity there. Maybe you've made promises that you've not followed through on, and that's fine. We all got them. I got them, right? There's lots of areas I'm insecure in. But these were the areas I broke promises. So I don't have confidence in those certain areas. So when you go and try and do this thing, it's going to be hard because you're not going to have the confidence to keep following through, to keep doing it. I mean, you might, but it's going to be tough. So what do? You lean on a coach or a mentor who who is confident, and you absorb his confidence in himself and in you until you've stacked enough wins of your own and have grown in your confidence enough so that you don't self-sabotage when you try and do it on your own. This part is huge. Okay? The third reason why coaching, mentorship, whatever is so powerful is because of the pride factor. Listen, don't download an app. Don't just subscribe to someone's YouTube channel and hope that you're going to keep watching the videos. All right? Don't use ChatGPT. Don't use technology. I want you to hire an actual human being. One that you're going to have to report to at the end of the week or at the end of every 2 weeks or once a month, whatever it is. Because whether you like it or not, pride and ego are powerful. And they're powerful enough to keep you on track because your pride is going to say, hey, man, you don't want to look like a loser. All right, you got to talk to Mitch at the end of the week. You got to weigh in, right? You got to weigh in not just physically, but emotionally, but mentally. Talking about your marriage. So your pride and your ego will chime in, ding, 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 and it won't let you fail, right? But a bot or an app does not care if you don't check in. I got an app that helps me track my food, okay? It's MyFitnessPal. It does not care if I log in a chicken salad or 17 cheeseburgers. All right, it's just going to interpret the data. That's it. Now, it might show me some indicators. It might show me some data that I don't like. But at the end of the day, I don't care. It's an app. Who gives a rip what it thinks about me? It doesn't think, right? So listen, a bot is not going to care if you don't check in. And you won't either. And you know, as I'm talking about this, you're hearing me talk about investing, hiring, paying for a coach, paying for a mentor. Why is that? Why hire someone when you can just have someone in your life for free? Like the accountability piece, you got buddies in your life. Why not just have them, right? Here's why. People who pay attention. So for example, do you remember the first car you got? Which car do you think you would have taken more care of? Which car would you have appreciated more? The car that was given to you by your parents that you didn't have to pay for? The tires that you didn't have to pay for? The insurance you didn't have to pay for? Or the car that you had to pay for out of your own blood, sweat, and tears? I don't know about you, but when I had to start paying for rubber, I did a lot less burnouts. When I had to start paying for insurance, I started to slow down. When I had to start paying for tickets, all right? The reality is you are so much more invested in things that you pay for. The financial investment is key because it's a tangible thing that we can lose. And you might say, well, gym memberships work. No, it doesn't, okay? You might be able to afford a gym membership, but it's cheap, all right? You and I both know you can afford to have a gym membership and never go. So it's costing you barely anything. So there's nothing on the line. But we like to have the security of knowing that we could go if we wanted to. I'm laughing because I've been there. I've been there until I canceled my gym membership and started working out in my home gym. But you think about it, right? This model is actually by design, sidebar. All right. I want you to think about the gym owner. I mean, it's a brilliant business model. Having hundreds of loyal customers paying monthly and no one showing up to use the equipment, it's brilliant. No wear and tear. You get all the revenue and only 15% of the paying customers are coming to use the equipment. You get all the payoff and none of the wear on the equipment. It's an amazing business model. Okay, I'm ranting. Moving on. Okay, E, which stands for execute. Execute relentlessly. Listen, execution is not dramatic. It's not flashy. It's consistent. It's boring. You look at the most fit people in the world. They're the most boring people in the world. They're not going out drinking all night, eating everything. They're people of moderation, right? Some of the most wealthy people in the world are boring. They're not going out to parties all the time. They're actually working on their business. The most successful people are the ones who consistently execute. And you know what? You don't have to be perfect, like I said. If you miss a day, you don't spiral. You just reset. You pick it back up the next day. I had a really good friend of mine. He says, I can miss a day, but I never miss two. I love that. That's great. You see, momentum is built through identity-aligned action. Not guilt, not hype, not pressure. You just wake up and you say, this is who I am, and this is what I do. Ask my wife. She's tired of me hearing me say that. This is who I am. This is what I do. I moderate what I put in my mouth. I exercise. I show up for my wife. This is who I am. This is what I do. Notice how my identity is tied to that, right? If I believe that I am a podcaster and a man who helps transform the lives of other men, if I believe that I'm a men's coach, an advisor, then it's going to be much easier for me to get up at 5 a.m. and start writing content and put myself out there and grow the business, because this is just who I am and this is what I do. But if deep down, I don't actually believe that I am this person, if it's not a part of my identity, I'm not going to follow through. I'm just going to give in to this subconscious narrative that I'm just someone who hopes to help others one day. Oh, I want to help people. I want to help people someday. Maybe I will. I should. I'd love to launch a podcast one day. You know how many people have told me in the past 2 years that I've run this show? You know how many people have told me, oh, I'm going to start a podcast one day. I'm going to start a podcast. And then I say, when are you going to do it? Oh, I don't know. And I talk to them 6 months later. Hey, did you start the podcast? No, I didn't do it. Why not? Well, I'm going to start a podcast. I tell you what, let's turn your one day into day one. Okay, let's flip the script. Turn your one day into day one. What do you need to do? Execute. Now, don't hear me preaching at you, all right? I'm not talking down to you, because this was me. This is me in certain areas of my life. You might remember me telling you this story about how I was stuck for 3 years sitting on my content, writing. I have a Google Doc with 600 pages of content that I still haven't even tapped into. Now, I'd like to say that I wrote all that out because I was just a really great planner. No, I wrote it because I didn't have the stones to follow through. I didn't have the courage to execute. Now, why? Why is that? I didn't execute because I thought I needed to be that man first. But the reality is the identity comes through the execution, okay? The confidence comes through the execution. You've heard me share this quote lots. Confidence is the result, not the requirement. You are not required to be confident to execute on something. In fact, if you're doing something you've never done before, it's impossible for you to be confident. So don't wait to feel confident. Don't wait to feel like that man. The way to that man is by executing. I love this quote from Alex Hormozy. He says this all the time. Sometimes you need to outwork your self-doubt. Outwork your self-doubt. If you would have asked me when I released episode 1, are you a podcaster? I say, heck no. Brother, once I hit publish on that podcast, I wanted to puke. I was sick. I was sick to my stomach. Because I was like, who in the world is going to listen to me? Who in the world is going to hire me? Who in the world would think that I have something to contribute? That was 2 years ago, okay? And I have helped thousands of men through the podcast, through their coaching and all those different things. You know what? I'm on a tangent. I didn't plan to say this, but here's the thing. If I would have never started the Dad Nation movement, the Instagram channel, the podcast, the coaching, all of these men would maybe still be stuck with miserable marriages, or checked out, or having the anger issues, or overweight, or insecure, or whatever the thing is that they're wrestling with. But it's because of my courage to step into this, to set the goal, to document it, to make it specific, to be held accountable, and then to execute on it. I've been able to help a lot of men. So I want you to think about that for a moment. What good can you do in the world that you haven't yet stepped into? Let me make it a little bit stronger. Who and what are you robbing by not taking action? Whether it's those who will be helped by your future business, whether it's your children who have yet to be impacted by a present loving father, whether it is your wife who is yet to see the 10 out of 10 version of you, or whether it's you who've yet to experience living at your full potential. You've got more in your tank, brother. There's vision, there's passion in your heart. that you can use to serve this world powerfully. Okay, moving on. I'm ranting. I just felt really compelled to share that. I know there's going to be someone who needed to hear that. And if that was you, message me, okay? Okay, so let's go back to what I plan to say. We're going to call this out because there are some excuses that I've made in the past, and I've made a lot of these excuses, and these are excuses that I hear men share often. Number one, you might have used the excuse like me, I don't have time. But here's the thing. One thing that I learned, high performers, men of greatness, whatever, the version of you that is yet to be reached does not use that excuse. Instead of saying they don't have time, they create time. Number one, they protect the time they have, and then they create more time. They wake up earlier. They get more productive. They don't waste time on things like video games, binging Netflix, all those different things. Because listen, here's the thing. Life generally doesn't get less complicated. It drifts to becoming more complicated. We don't magically find more time. We have more kids. We get promotions. We take on more in business. But here's the thing, friend. I want you to hear me say this. You will never have more time than what you have right now. Here's another excuse that people say. I'll do this later. I'll get around to it later. Remember I said someday, right? I'll do it someday. Listen, the word later is the most expensive word in leadership. I love the old Chinese proverb that says the best time to plant an oak tree was 20 years ago. The second best time, today. Another excuse that I've said myself and I've heard other men say is I should be able to do this on my own. So they resist to bring in help. They resist getting accountable. They resist getting a friend on the journey. And what happens is they stay stuck because they haven't had the humility to reach out. And so they don't do what it is they want to do the most. And friend, hear me say this in love and say this in respect. But if you could do it on your own, you would have. So let's lay down the pride. Let's lay down the ego. Because we can't. I get this all the time when I talk to guys who want to get help and want to bring me on and want to hire me. And sometimes the resistance was, well, I can do it on my own. I can just watch YouTube videos, or I could just listen to your podcast, or I could just get a book, or I could just fill in the blank with whatever excuse. To which I say, how's that working for you? The past 3 years, the past 5 years, the past 10 years. How's it working? Listen, even the Navy SEALs train in teams. They understand that no man is an island unto themselves. The last excuse that I hear often, and the last excuse I've made, and I still catch myself making with new goals, is I'm just going to wait until things slow down. This is really related to the first excuse. But here's the thing. Again, life generally doesn't slow down. When was the last time you woke up and was like, man, life sure is slow right now? When was the last time you thought, man, life is a lot slower at 45 than it was 25? Heck no, right? That mentality, I'll wait till things slow down, that's a one-way ticket to never accomplishing any goal. Things aren't going to slow down. So friend, make this commitment with me. Let's not start 2026 with excuses. Let's start it with execution, okay? Write that down. Go ahead and write that down. So let's come full circle. Let's bring it back to the beginning of the episode. Why does this matter? Right? Because here's the reality that most of us don't really think about, or we do, maybe we have thought about it, but we avoid it, is your kids are going to one day live out your discipline. They're going to live out your habits. They're going to live out your courage or your avoidance. They're going to eat what you eat. They're going to train like you train. They're going to love like you love. They're going to live like you live. They won't remember what you meant to do. They'll copy what you modeled. So this year, don't accept drift. Okay? Don't accept excuses. Don't accept another year of almost. So if this framework resonated with you, dominate. Right? If this episode resonated with you, but you're thinking, you probably listen to me and you might be thinking, I get it. It's important. I just don't know how to implement it alone. I don't know my next step. I've got something for you, okay? I've created something called the Unstoppable Man Summit, and I've partnered with 3 other elite coaches. These guys are brilliant, and I've learned so much from them. And it's happening in 7 days. All right, this is happening on Saturday, January 10th. Listen, this isn't motivation. This is structure. This is a one-day reset where you're going to clarify your vision. You're going to lock in a proven execution plan, and you're going to build momentum with other men who are also taking this seriously. Because here's the thing, man. You don't need another year of content. You need traction. And traction happens in the right room. So I want you to grab a ticket at unstoppablemansummit.com. Okay, I'm going to put the link in the show notes below. Or maybe there's a second kind of man listening. Maybe you're listening to me and you're thinking to yourself, I don't want just a good start. I want real lasting change. And if that's you, I have a step for you. It's something called the High Performance Husband. And it's a program that I'm launching in January over the next month. Okay. It's not a course. It's not hype. It's not surface level advice. It's long-term identity, leadership, and execution coaching. It's for like-minded men who want to take it all to the next level in this year coming. We're talking marriage, fitness, mindset, emotions, fatherhood, your leadership, everything. So if you want to become a more grounded, emotionally disciplined leader, if you want to be a more present, confident father, if you want a husband that your wife respects, admires, and desires, if you want to be a man that your family can look up to with pride, then do not try to white-knuckle this alone. Like I said, you don't need more information. We are inundated with information. If information was the solution, we'd be masters in everything. You have the information, all the information of the universe in AI. You don't need more information. You need alignment, you need systems, you need mentorship, and you need support. And this program has all 8 of these steps of the D.O.M.I.N.A.T.E framework. You could literally finish out 2026 an entirely different man. A rebuilt body, a rebuilt marriage, a rewired mind. You could hit a new level in your leadership, both in business and at home. So I'll put the link in the show notes so that you can apply when you're ready, and only apply when you're ready, okay? Because we don't take every person in this program. You have to apply. It has to be the right fit. You have to be ready to put in the work, all right? We don't want to just fill the program with people who aren't taking action, who aren't doing anything, right? Then there's no momentum. So the link is in the show notes, but if you go to dadnationco.com/accelerator, you can learn all about the program. I have packed it full of tons and tons of resources and bonuses, a bunch of stuff. So I'll end with this. I want to challenge you, okay? I want you to ask your future self what you should do. It sounds crazy, right? It sounds a little bit silly, but the 2030 version of you, if you're 35 years old, what would the 40-year-old version of you tell you to do? If he could stretch back into time and talk to you, what would he tell you to do? Would he tell you to get serious? Would he tell you to get your health in check? Would he tell you to put in the work on your marriage? Would he tell you to launch that passion project or to sign up for that community? Because here's the reality. Every decision you make today is either investing into your future self or robbing from him. So what choice will you make today? You see, that concept alone right there changed my life. And if you want to dig into that concept a little deeper, I did an episode on it. It's episode number 61, just a few weeks ago. And I broke it all down from a psychological level and gave you practical tips on how to connect with your future self, to stay motivated to do the things that you know you should do, and to invest in your future self, not rob from him. Invest in your future family, not rob from them. So friend, that is it for me. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. And if this episode has really struck a chord with you, if it has resonated with you, I want you to drop a comment if you're watching on YouTube, or hit me up on socials. Let me know. All right. I love hearing how these episodes are helping you in your own life, in your own leadership. Okay. I'm serious. I would love to hear from you. Last word here, my friend. Your future does not need more intentions. Okay. It needs more decisions. So lead well, choose courage. And I hope to see you at the Unstoppable Man Summit or inside the High Performance Husband Accelerator. All right. I'm in your corner. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Thank you for tuning into the Dad Nation podcast today. Listen, if today's conversation challenged you, if it encouraged you or helped you level up in any area of your life, would you do me a favor? Take 60 seconds to rate and review the show on whatever platform you're listening on. This helps us reach more men who need to hear this message. And if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the Dad Nation YouTube channel, where you're going to find full episodes, clips, and exclusive content designed to help you win at home just like you do at work. All right, remember, your family does not need perfection. They need your presence. Your leadership matters. So keep showing up, keep leveling up, and never forget, when the dad gets better, the whole family wins. We'll see you next time.